This is Center Stage with Michael Kay. Here's your host, Michael Kay.
Thank you, everybody, and welcome to Center Stage. Today's guest is a Yankees favorite who grew up in Long Beach, New York, playing baseball, listening to jazz, and learning comedy routines. In the early 1970s, he worked the local comedy clubs. In 1984, he joined the cast of Saturday Night Live and later made memorable films like When Harry Met Sally, City Slickers, and Analyze This. Known for his quick-witted humor, he's hosted the Academy Award 9 times and received 6 Emmy Awards for those efforts. And for decades, he's worked tirelessly to help eradicate homelessness in America. In March of 2008, he signed a 1-day minor league contract with the New York Yankees, which produced a respectable at-bat in a Major League Baseball spring training game. His new film is Parental Guidance, where he stars with Bette Midler as grandparents to Marissa Tomei's children. Please welcome a true Yankees fan, actor, comic, writer, producer, and former Yankee DH, Billy Crystal.
This is a very big chair.
Very nice, though.
Yeah, very big chair for a guy my size.
I was very worried that you wouldn't show up.
Why?
The Yankees released you.
Oh, yeah. Well, you know, I was supposed to retire. That was the deal, was the one at bat, which was thrilling in itself. And then I said to Brian, so I'll have a press conference and announce my retirement. And he released me. He's cold. He's a cold guy. I can't trust Brian Kay.
And it was on your birthday, I think.
It was on my birthday.
That's just wrong.
Too. It was the greatest day of my life, I really have to say.
Tell me about it.
You were there.
We announced it. It was so phenomenal.
Well, it was over Christmas. I bumped into Derek Jeter in Costa Rica. We're working out in the gym, and he goes, you know, you look great. I go, yeah, you know, I'm going to turn 60. He goes, really? He said, well, what would you like to do? Do something good. I said, you know what? You guys signed me to a 1-day contract. I DH, whatever happens, happens, and I'll announce my retirement. I'll throw a big party for the team. What do you think? And he went, let's do this. This is great. The fans will love this. Suddenly, there I am in Tampa with the team. I got in great shape. I went to Reggie Smith, who was a great switch hitter, and he was my technical advisor on 61. He taught the guys how to hit.
Right.
So I called him. I said, Reggie, you got 10 days to make me the Yankee DH? And he said, get over here. And so Reggie, for 10 days, got me ready, and then I left and got to Tampa to play against the Pirates. And Paul Mulholland was pitching. So when I found out who was in the rotation, being the little jock I am, I mean, I'm wearing a cup now, by the way. Because it's New York, you never know. But I saw that he wasn't a big lefty, and he was, you know, his release was a short arm, you know, like here. Right. It wasn't like back here. It didn't come overhead. So I knew where to look for it. And then I got up there, and I got 6 pitches. I fouled one off. Went down the right field line. Somebody yelled, double, and I went, oh, no, because if I get to second, I have to stop twice to pee. And I got 3-1 and 3-2 when he threw me a cutter, you know, the nastiest cutter since my bris. And did you notice I leaned forward on him? And then finally I struck out. But the great thing was, they stopped the game and gave me the ball. It's the first time it's ever happened that they stopped the game to give somebody a ball for striking out.
It didn't seem like you wanted to walk. I mean, it was 3-1, right?
Yeah, I didn't want to walk. I kept looking at Derek, and he kept going, hack, 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 hack. And I wanted to hit it, and I just missed it. 2 cutters. I haven't seen a cutter ever in my life. And, you know, I was really proud of it and had a great time. And the fans loved it.
The fact that you fouled the ball off at the age of 60, I mean, it wasn't just a tip.
Well,
you fouled the ball off.
Technically, I was 59.
Okay, see, that's a different
The next
story.
day, I was 60, so, yeah.
60 wouldn't happen.
Yeah, but I saw it. And
How cool.
Yeah, it was the greatest thing ever of... You mentioned the Oscars, the movies, those are all great, and I'm grateful. I can always say I led off a game for the New York Yankees, and that's phenomenal, phenomenal.
And it must mean so much to you that your film 61 was put into the Hall of Fame. How cool is that?
Yeah, it was the 50th anniversary of Rogers' 61st home run. I worked so hard on that to make it realistic. And when we were honored that way, it was very touching. I had trouble getting through the speech because I thought I'd always get there as a player.
Sure.
And
Well,
here
the
I
5
am.
years is up after your appearance now, so...
That's true. I'm eligible.
Yeah.
I'm eligible. I like the way you think. Maybe I know somebody in the Veterans Committee.
Parental Guidance is your new film.
Yeah.
It's your first lead role in about a decade.
Yeah.
Why so long?
Because I was doing my show. I was doing 700 Sundays.
Which, by the way, was phenomenal.
Thank you.
I mean, I actually have no heart, and I was weeping.
No heart?
I was weeping, and it was so beautifully done.
You have no heart?
Zero. If I have it, it's black.
What a nice thing to brag about.
You know, well, you got to be honest.
Hey, remember me? I have no heart. Feel nothing. It was one of the great moments of my career, was putting that together. And so I played it here for a year on Broadway. We toured it 3 times. This movie, which opens Christmas Day, took almost 6 years to get made. So all my energy went into getting this movie made. And it's a really, really funny movie.
Why didn't you do a movie of 700 Sundays?
That is in the making.
Okay.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah. Hopefully we'll do that.
All right, now we have a clip from the film.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
I play a minor league baseball announcer for the Fresno Grizzlies named Artie Decker, whose dream of dreams was to announce for the Giants. Because when he was a kid, he heard Russ Hodges' classic, The Shot Heard Round the World, and that's all he's wanted to do. And he's a pretty old-school Bob Uecker type guy. And so this is me in the booth up at Chuchansky Park in Fresno, California.
Did you ever really want to become an announcer?
I love, you know, I've been in the booth a few times with you.
Yeah.
And then one time in Anaheim, I get in the booth with Bobby Mercer, and I come in the booth as Phil Rizzuto. Because Phil didn't make trips after a while.
Right.
So I told Bobby, just say the Scooter's here, and don't show me on camera. And it is really funny, because I hit his voice really good, and every pop fly to the infield, I go, I got it. And Bobby, rest his soul, was so funny. No, Scooter, it's, you know, that's to the infield. Holy cow. You know, I gotta tell you, Mercer, it's a whole different look from up here. It's weird. You know, I bumped into Gene Autry, and I said, you know, how's the horse? And the horse, he said, has been dead for years. Holy cow, I wanted that horse to live forever. Horses should live forever, should whatever. I just went on and on and on, and it was really fun. So I would have liked to be an announcer too.
We'll talk more about the movie in just a bit. When we come back, we are going to go all the way back to Long Beach, where it started for Billy Crystal. Next, on CenterStage.
Well, I can't believe it, Scooter. I'm glad you're here.
Oh, I tell you.
Go ahead, take it away. I'm exhausted.
I was on the bridge, and I said to Cora, I gotta get out there. Salmon takes the ball outside. This place is wild, I'll tell you. They're gonna tear this down, Mercer. Did you know that? Holy cow.
That is unbelievable.
I got it. Oh, it's out there. Oh, I thought it was over here. As Willie Randolph makes the catch. Oh, wait, that's Duncan. Where am I? Holy cow.
Center Stage on Yes is brought to you in
Welcome back to Center Stage. We're here with Billy Crystal. Now, people don't know this, but you actually were born in the Bronx, and then you moved to Long Beach. So,
Right. Well, actually, technically, I was born at a doctor's hospital, which was right across the street from Gracie Mansion.
okay.
But we lived in the Bronx.
All right, so you lived in the
Right, on
Bronx.
Davidson Avenue.
All right, so what came first? Passion for baseball, appreciation of music, or talents as a comedian?
I was a comedian. 3, 4 years old, standing on a coffee table. Hey, Uncle Mac! You know, I just would imitate anybody I could, and usually them.
Right.
You know, just, what are you talking about, Billy? What are you talking about, Billy? What are you talking about? What? That was my first, all of them. Because it was a great era of television, and it was really the golden age of TV comedians. So my whole world was that, and my dad had a great eye for comedy. And we had this little music store on 42nd Street, which was the family business, and he'd bring home the albums. So I started listening to the comedy albums. The greatest of all was Cosby, because Bill spoke to us.
Right.
He had brothers. I had brothers. He went to temple. I belonged to a temple. So, so that's what it was there. And then the baseball really. My dad was a really good player, and my brothers were all good. And then I saw Mantle, and then that's all I wanted to do from the time I was 8 was play baseball.
Now, in high school, you were voted most popular. And I read that you had a memorable performance in a high school show. Do you remember it? Didn't you do Bill Cosby's Noah?
Yes, I did Bill's Noah, and it was a smash until everybody thought I wrote it. And years later, people come up and go, you know, this guy Cosby is doing your stuff. I always liked being here.
So when you were in college and you were in shows and things like that, did you have a plan? Because you were married at that point. Did you have a plan how to support a family?
No. But, Michael, I always believed that somehow things would work out.
But you knew you wanted to be an entertainer?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
I enrolled at Nassau Community College in Garden City, which had a phenomenal acting program. And that's where I really found myself. I graduated from NYU, from the film school. I was a directing major. And I thought, well, if the directing thing didn't work out, I'd have something solid to fall back on, like acting. Right? So I was married at 22. I will be married 43 years in June. And somehow I always thought it was going to happen. And then I was in a comedy group for 2 years with 2 great friends. We opened for some people, and then it just didn't work, and it gets lonely at the middle. And I got a call from a friend who was at NYU in a fraternity. He said, and I was feeding my daughter, who now has 2 kids. And he said, listen, we need a comedian for a ZBT party. Do you know anybody who could do 20 minutes in front of the folk singer, as in putting the rice cereal in her mouth? Yeah, I could do it. What do you mean? Well, I've been doing stuff. No. And so, yeah, how much? $25? Yeah, no, fine. I'll pay you. and where is it? On Mercer Street? Yeah, I'll be there. Boom. And I set up this date, and I went, and I was supposed to do 20 minutes. The singer didn't show up. I did like an hour.
Where did the hour come from?
I don't know. I just went.
Did you get laughs?
Oh, yeah, big. Yeah. And then this management group who I'm still with, they came to see me, and it worked, and they said, let's go to work, and I never looked back. And that's how it started, as a stand-up.
That's how it started? How did it continue? We will find out when we return on CenterStage.
NYC.
For you, right? Yeah. Welcome back to CenterStage. Our guest is the actor and star of the new film, Parental Guidance, Billy Crystal. So you just mentioned how you started in the comedy business. We've had so many comics on the show who tell about that moment when they're on Carson. What was it like? And that was in '75 for you, right?
Yes. You notice how I took a deep breath and moved forward? It was like Mickey. It was like being with Mickey. Extraordinary talent, command of the medium. I work up very quickly, about a year after that fraternity house, and I'm get my first Tonight Show. And I was petrified. I literally laid in bed that whole day till it was time to go to NBC.
Because it could make a career,
yeah,
right? Make a life.
Yeah, it was different then. If Johnny liked you, he'd have you back, hopefully, and a sitcom would happen, something. That's how powerful that show was.
Right.
And so I get there, and I'm backstage, and I'm really nervous. And they're about to page the curtain, and I hear him. You hear that voice. You don't meet him before.
Is your heart like beating through your chest?
Oh, it's crazy. It's crazy. I don't even know how to describe it. And it's like a rodeo, you know, coming out of the chute now. Hopefully he can stay up on his feet for 8 minutes, you know, and boom, they parted, and I walked out, and I was like, there's Doc. And you don't look over. You don't. You just don't look over. You'll turn into salt. You know what? And I did my routine, which was not a classic stand-up routine. It wasn't jokes. It was more attitude and timing. And Johnny never called anybody over unless he was thrilled. And I finished the thing, and before the show, the stage manager came to me and said, listen, when you're done, if I put my hands up like this, stand there and take your bow, right? And then you could look at Johnny, hopefully he'll give you one of these. But if you see me go like this, get your ass over to the couch. So I finish my thing, I look over, the guy goes, So I walked
Your legs rubber?
It was crazy. It was absolutely crazy. Shook his hand. Orson Welles was on the show.
Oh, my God.
Oh, it was bizarre. And they told me, the band's wailing. It's great. And Craig Tennis was a talent coordinator, and he says, don't talk to Johnny. He doesn't like when anyone talks to him.
You mean during the commercial?
During the commercial break. Don't talk to him. Yeah, no, during the show, I'm not going to talk to him.
Oh, I thought he just pontificated.
No. Yeah. And you did a lovely job. I'm not talking to you. So Johnny's playing the drums with it. He had these double-headed eraser pencils,
right.
And he's playing on top of his cigarette case. And I looked over, and Johnny caught my eye, and I just went, how's it going? And he just looked at me like I was insane, and he liked it, and he went, it's going pretty good. And at that time, my big thing was I did an imitation of Muhammad Ali. And it was an accident that I landed on Ali. I had seen The Godfather, and I had tried to do Brando.
Right.
And they were in a similar tone. So it came out like, Michael, I never wanted this for you. I want you to be the greatest of all time. That's how it started. So he said, so what's with you and Ali? And I just went into it, and he kicked away from the desk, and it was kind of magical. It was Johnny Carson, for me, I get emotional when I think about it, was the greatest superstar I've ever been around. You know, and he wasn't the greatest stand-up comedian, but he was the greatest host ever. And his power was really incredible. He was an awesome guy.
Now, you mentioned Ali. You had become friends with Mantle. Did you become friends with Ali?
I run the risk of sounding like, you know, everyone's my best friend.
Right.
I did my first television show ever with Ali, with my late great friend, Dick Schaap. Mm-hmm. It was another accident like the fraternity party was. And they were doing a local special from the Plaza Hotel. And he had called my agent looking for Robert Klein, because Bob does great sports stuff, and Bob wasn't available. And she said, but I got this new guy, and he does this really good Ali imitation, and he goes, great. You see Muhammad Ali for the first time, up close, in his prime like that. I love Johnny Carson, no comparison.
Really?
That's how amazing his magnetism was. And Dick said, how do I introduce you? I said, just say I'm one of Ali's oldest and dearest friends. And I'll go right into the Howard Cosell part. So he goes, here's one of Ali's closest and dearest friends. I get up, people go, who? What? I got to the microphone right away. We're in Kinshasa, Zaire, Z-A-I-R-E. Some would pronounce it Zaire. They're wrong. Muhammad, come over here. Muhammad, may I call you Mo? Get over here. How would everybody talk about Joe Frazier? I want to talk about Joe Frazier. I am the baddest man. I'm announcing tonight I'm changing my name because I got new religious beliefs. What do you mean, new religious beliefs? Right now I want to be known as Izzy Yiskowitz. I am now an Orthodox Jew. It's Jewish boxing. You don't hit the man, you just make him feel guilty. I get in a clinch with Foreman. I said, when's the last time you called your mama? He went, well, I don't know. Boom, I give him a zets and he's out. Counting them out. Olive, Beis, Gimel, Dalam, Ches. And they went crazy, and Ali he was so amazing to me. And afterwards he called me little brother. You're my little brother, which is what he calls me still to this day. And he's an astounding man. He's an astounding man.
We'll be back.
Give me Sounds like you've got this.
Yeah, definitely.
Get a discount up to 30% with Drive Safe and Save from State Farm.
Welcome back to Center Stage with former New York Yankee Billy Crystal. You got another Ali story you want to tell?
Well, Mr. Cosell and I were very close. And when Howard passed away, his memorial service was in a big church on Central Park West. And I ended up sitting with Ali. Howard, for all his crassness, was a very dear man and a very principled man who was the first journalist to stand up for Ali when he refused induction into the armed service. And they were very devoted to each other. So I'm sitting next to the champ, and the casket is closed up there, and Ali whispers to me, "Little brother, do you think he's wearing his hairpiece?" So I go, "I don't know. Why?" He said, "Well, if he's not, how will God recognize him?" So I said, once he starts complaining, they'll know who he is. You know? But it was so funny.
Wow.
It was just so funny.
Let's go to 1977, and you get on the nighttime soap.
Yeah.
Soap.
Yes.
And you play Jody Dallas.
Yes.
Uproar.
Yes.
Why?
Because it was the first gay character in a recurring part in a series that had ever been done.
Mm-hmm. Were you afraid to do it?
Yeah, but I knew once I met with the geniuses, I thought, who created the show, that we were in great hands. We met several times about where we could take the character and do something. Now, this is 35 years ago. America's viewpoint of gays has changed somewhat, but no one had done this before. And the first couple episodes, he was in his mother's clothes.
More flamboyant.
Yeah, very flamboyant, and very funny scenes. Mm-hmm. I was in this pink outfit. I remember my mother saw the pilot and called and said, "I always wanted a girl." And my mother in the show comes in, she sees me in her clothes, and she goes, "Jody, stop. Oh, you wear it belted." And I went, "Oh, yeah, you see, it gives me a better line." And it was funny and so on and so forth. And then there was a lot of uproar about that, but I believed in the material. And we were there 4 years. You know, and I think we really made some great strides in creating a character who was funny and ultimately touching and very human to people.
This is Spinal Tap.
Yes.
You had a memorable line in that movie.
Yes. Mime is money. Don't talk back. I play a mime caterer. All in whiteface. Rob Reiner was my dearest friend. He said, "I'm doing this movie. You want to do a little cameo on it?" And I said, "What?" He said, "Well, there's these caterers," and I said, "Well, what if they're mimes?" And he went, "Oh, I love this."
Now, you worked with Rob again when you did When Harry Met Sally.
Yeah.
Now, you know that I'm curious about the Meg Ryan scene in the deli. How many times did she actually do that?
She was supposed to do it, well, who knows, I would say 25, 30 times, but then I started screwing up my lines just on purpose so I could hear it again. That was all day. That was a tough scene for Meg to do, and she was phenomenal. Nora Ephron, who was a sensational writer of the movie and so missed, was talking about the fact that women fake orgasms, right? And Rob, no. Well, they haven't faked it with me. It got which is a line in the scene.
Right.
And she goes, "Yeah." So then Meg said, "Well, I should do one in a movie. I should have one in a public place." And I said, "Yeah, like a restaurant." And then we start laughing right away. And then at the end, some older woman says, "You know what? I'll have what she's having." So that's how that scene really was written. And the woman who said it was Rob's mom. There was Estelle Reiner who said that line. So we come to rehearsal. We're shooting at Katz's Deli, and Meg is nervous. And she's going to do it in front of strangers.
Right.
And which to me gets me excited. And first rehearsal, tepid. Second rehearsal, still not a great one.
Right.
Right? It's like a really 10-year married one. Rob says he's getting a little impatient, you know, so everyone's watching. All right, let me show you what I want. So now Rob, who's a bear of a guy with a big beard, sits down opposite me. It looks like I'm on a date with Sebastian Cabot. Well, Michael, he proceeds to have an orgasm for the ages. Mighty Joe Young would be envious of this. Yes, yes, pickles are flying out of the thing on the table. It's gigantic orgasm. He goes, that's what I want. He pulls me aside.
Oh, we all.
So he pulls me aside and goes, oh, that was a mistake. I shouldn't have done that. And I said, no, Meg is fine. She's okay. You didn't embarrass her. He goes, no, no, no. I just had an orgasm in front of my mother.
What a great scene.
It's a great scene. It's a great movie. It
holds up.
It holds up great.
A lot of great movies, and Billy Crystal becomes an absolute superstar on the big screen when we return on CenterStage.
We
Welcome back to Center Stage. We are here with Billy Crystal. So in 1984, you joined the 10th season of Saturday Night Live.
Yeah.
And you created really memorable characters. What were your favorite ones?
Oh, well, Fernando was...
Where'd that come from?
Fernando it came from watching Fernando Lamas on The Tonight Show. And he goes, you know, John, it's good to see you. So nice to see you. How is everything? Because you look fabulous. You look marvelous. How are you doing? Right? So I said, whoa, look at this guy. So I thought he was really funny.
Right.
And then when I came to SNL, we brought him there and did the hideaways there, which were always the most fun to do because they were totally improvised. And then I think the best thing we did that year was a baseball-themed movie called Ball Players, where Chris and I played two Negro League baseball players in their 70s who never got a chance to play in the major leagues. It was a little documentary that Chris and I did in phenomenal makeup and that Chris directed. And it's about 8 minutes long, and it is so authentic because we love the game. I was Leonard the Rooster Willoughby, and he was King Carl Johnson. He was a pitcher, I was a center fielder. And it was so, it's ultimately very moving. And then the next week, Jesse Jackson was the host. And he asked to meet Chris and I before the first meeting on Monday. And here's Jesse Jackson saying to us, two white men playing two black men, that was the greatest thing I've ever seen. And he just held on. He said, bless you both for doing that with so much love and affection. And it was so real.
Now, after the SNL season, mid-'80s, your film career begins to take off. Running Scared with Gregory Hines, The Princess Bride, another Rob Reiner, Throw Mama from the Train. Which one did you like the most of those?
Oh, I loved working with Gregory on Running Scared. That was really my first big movie. The Princess Bride was, I worked 3 days. I'm in the movie for 4 minutes. You know, I played Miracle Max. Carol Kane was my wife, Valerie. We're little wizards that live in the forest, and we make this magic pill that brings the hero Carioe back to life, sort of. 6 hours of makeup for this little guy that I love playing. Have fun storming the castle.
Tell me about City Slickers. You did that with Daniel Stern and Bruno Kirby.
Yeah.
And then Jack ended up being the funniest guy.
Jack Palance was an amazing guy to work with. I smile thinking about him. Yes, I am smiling, Jack. When I had the first idea for the movie and wrote the first story, I was sitting home and I just started running a cattle drive. 3 guys, city slickers, go on a fantasy cattle drive. The crusty trail boss, and I wrote Jack Palance, dies. Guys have to finish it themselves. A metaphor for life, bringing your herd what's important in life, secrets that friends have. It seemed like a great thing. And so he said yes. And there I am, working with the big cat himself. That's what we called him. He was like this big leopard. And nobody that I've worked with since, except Robert De Niro, understands the movie camera the way that Jack Palance did. He only worked 2 weeks on the movie. 2 weeks, and he won the Oscar. I was hosting that year. He did the one-arm push-ups.
Yeah.
Gave me the greatest setup for any host will ever have. And we ran with jokes the whole night. Every time I came to the podium, I had something different to say. Jack just won a New York State primary, big laugh. Jack just bungee jumped off the Hollywood sign, big laugh. There was a musical number with 30 or 40 kids from the movie Hook, and I followed it out and said, you know, Jack is the father of all of those guys. And he was extraordinary to work with. That was a really interesting movie to make, because it was physically really crazy to make. Hard, very hard. He had 400 cows in every scene.
We'll come back when Billy Crystal becomes the face of the Oscars. That's next on Center Stage. You know.
When you book direct at choicehotels.com.
Fox Sports Go puts the pinstripes in the palm of your hand. Now watch the Yankees when you're on the go and never miss a moment.
Stream Yankee games on Fox Sports Go.
Yankees streaming is brought to you by Fios by Verizon.
Welcome back to Center Stage. We're here with the star of the new film, Parental Guidance, Billy Crystal. You actually have a texting relationship with Joe Girardi, don't you?
Yes.
How is that?
I love Joe. I respect Joe. When I had my at-bat, it was Joe's first season. And when the thing came down that I was going to do it, I asked for his number to call and make sure it was okay with him. If I was going to be in his way, I'm not going to do it. That's how I felt. And I told him that on the phone. He said, I'm looking forward to this. And he welcomed me then, made me feel part of the team, not a comedian guy doing this. And so I always loved that about him, and to this day I'm indebted to him for being such a regular guy. So what appears to be a tough kind of Marine guy with the haircut,
right,
you know, and he's a really funny guy.
I wish he'd show that more to people.
He gave me his number, which is a mistake. So after particular games, I would start to write these funny texts. And it got really funny. And then he'd write me back, and it became this thing. And then I'd always talk to him about when the September call-up. She didn't call me. What's with that? And he went, it's not me, it's Cashman. You know, he would... I have them all, and at the end of the season, I write them out like a play. Right. You know, and I send it to him. But it got really funny between the two of us. And I think he's a fantastic guy and a great manager.
1990, you host the Oscars for the first time.
Yeah.
Johnny Carson hosted the Oscars. Bob Hope hosted the Oscars. What did that mean to you?
That? It was awesome. I walked out. Jack Nicholson was in the audience, and we went right after him. It was the first Batman, and he had made a huge amount of money. It was like insane. Right. Which, Jack, you deserve every bit of it. And so I did jokes about him. Jack is so rich, Morgan Freeman drove him here tonight. And it went thrillingly well, the opening, and everybody is there. Now, listen, it's great to be in front of people at any time, but when you walk out there and people want to see you, and you look out, and it's Meryl Streep, and it's Dustin Hoffman, it's Francis Ford Coppola, and it's Marty Scorsese, and it's, you name it, is there. It's insane. It's really insane. So I had an 18-minute break in the middle of the show. So I'm in the dressing room, and I'm redoing my makeup, and I'm like so stoked. And there's a knock at the door, and I go, who is it? And he goes, it's Jack. I'd never met him before. Open it up, it's not only Jack, it's Warren Beatty. And they say, we just want to thank you for doing this. You're just doing such a great job, and we just wanted to tell you. And it was like so gracious. Here's these two iconic stars taking the time to make me feel good. Was amazing.
So cool.
Very cool. Very cool.
You're 9 away from Bob Hope. Do you think you're going to tie him?
Isn't that amazing? No,
Yeah.
I think, I don't know what'll happen, but I know I'm not going to do it 9 more times. But I do love my relationship with that and the Academy and so on and so forth. And it's been a lot of fun.
So if the Oscars is a big deal, you could imagine what hit and run means to Billy. That's when we return on Center Stage.
Glaber.
Before you take anything, I recommend applying effective non-addictive relief. Salonpas lidocaine, patch, roll-on, or cream.
This is Center Stage. You're here with the great Billy Crystal. Billy, you've done this once before. Hit and run. I'll say something first thing that comes to your mind. All right. You were a part owner of the Diamondbacks. So in 2001, when they faced the Yankees in the World Series, who were you rooting for?
Yankees.
Who delivered the best stand-up routine that you've ever witnessed in person?
Robin Williams.
What New York landmark have you never been to that you still want to see?
The Statue of Liberty.
Me neither. Let's go together.
Okay. I've never been, I've just gone around it, but I've never been inside it.
Same here.
It always felt funny walking through a woman's cloak and...
Favorite New York meal?
Great Chinese food, no matter where it is.
The funniest or most unpredictable actor or director you've ever worked with?
Danny DeVito.
The role and performance that you're proudest of?
Husband and father.
And now grandfather. You do a Bob Shepard imitation.
Michael, it's been such a joy to be here with you.
Now, as Bob got older, his teeth started to spread.
Right.
This is true.
And so sometimes this will begin to happen.
It's pretty good.
What a great guy.
That's my one regret.
What's that?
My one regret was when I had my at-bat, he didn't announce me. It was spring training. And when I would come to the stadium and I would sit upstairs, I'd always go to say hello to him. Sundays, you'd see him, he'd have the New York Times, he'd be doing the crossword and watching the game, and he'd be doing it, and then he'd know what was up, and he'd go,
Kirby Puckett, number 34.
And he looked just the way he was supposed to look?
Yeah, he did. He was amazing.
Favorite moment in your career?
Now.
Right now. Beautiful.
No, I would say, there was a 3-year break. I came back from to the Oscars. It was the first time I did the opening movie.
Right.
And it was pretty intricate. And it blew the audience away. And the audience stood up. And it was the only time my mom was in the audience to watch me do the Oscars. And we just looked at each other. And she just went like this. And that was that. I think that was the greatest.
Now, you've done a lot of great things in your career, but is it true or false that you hold the record for the fastest final round win in the history of the $20,000 pyramid?
Totally true. Everything I said was one clue. She got it. It was amazing. Monkeys, things in a barrel. I mean, it was like... it was like that.
Wow. Favorite late night snack?
Devil dogs and a cold glass of milk.
Wow, it's a New York snack. Final thing, if you were trapped in a foxhole, what person would you want in there with you to help you get out?
Brigitte Bardot. Like around 1962. Because I'm a lover, not a fighter.
We're going to wrap things up with Billy Crystal when we return.
Am I right?
Hi.
Mercedes-Benz family. Lease the C300 sedan for just $389 a month at the Mercedes-Benz summer event. Hurry in now. Mercedes-Benz. The best or nothing.
Welcome back to Center Stage, everybody. That's Billy Crystal, the star of Parental Guidance. Now, this next clip that we're going to see from the movie, you and Bette Midler, you are traveling to see your daughter, Marissa Tomei. So what's
I don't want to go.
Okay.
We're going to babysit for these 3 kids. We are sort of delinquent grandparents, which happens. We haven't seen him in 10 months. I've just been fired from my job as an announcer in Fresno with the Grizzlies. I don't want to go. We're in the airport on our way to Atlanta.
All right, let's take a look.
Good idea.
What's that? funny together. I love her. She's amazing talent.
Go see that movie.
But I've been fortunate that way, you know, to work with some really amazing people. Robert De Niro analyzed this. I'm in New York making a movie, and it's a cloudy Sunday, and I said, you know, man, I'd love to go to a Yankee game. David Wells pitches the perfect game. So I have to go down to the clubhouse afterwards. I know David pretty well, and everyone's around him, and he sees me, and I go, I just got here, what happened? So he asked what I'm doing, and I said, I'm making this movie with Robert De Niro, and we're shooting in Red Hook, Brooklyn tomorrow. And he goes, I gotta come. I gotta come. So we're shooting this shootout scene. There's Chaz Palminteri and all of these, you know, make-believe gangsters and so on. And David pulls up, and he gets out, and he's got this big satchel with him, and they're balls. And he's signing balls for, the guys are lining up. I mean, it's Christmas.
All right.
So De Niro, I'm gonna call him De Niro, says, because I usually have to call him sir, and he's not here, right, and that's fine. So Bob says to me, who's the fat guy? So I go, it's David Wells. He goes, who's that? He knows nothing about sports.
What?
I go, he pitches with the Yankees. He pitched a perfect game. What's that? I said, 27 up, 27 down. No one got a hit, no one got a walk, no errors, nothing. Perfect. He goes, sounds boring. I said, no, at the time, I think there were only 11 at the time.
Right.
But, yeah, because it's boring. Why would there be more than that? If there would be more perfect games, then people wouldn't come to watch baseball. It's boring. I said, no, but he's an amazing guy. He just did this, and he wants to meet you. All right. All right. So they say hello and so then Wells takes me aside. Would he sign a ball for me? I said, sure. What do you want him to write? He said, well, Raging Bull is my favorite movie. If he would write, you're the boss, you're the boss, you're the boss. Bob De Niro, it would drum it, right? So I go into Bob's trailer. I said, would you sign something? Oh, for the fat guy? Yeah. I said, but he wants you to write something for him. What? Write to David, right? You're the boss, you're the boss, you're the boss. He goes, why would I write that? I says, well, in Raging Bull, you say, I'm the boss, I'm the boss. And he says, yeah, because I was the boss. I'm the boss, I'm the boss. He's not the boss. He can't possibly be the boss. A fat guy like that is not the boss. So he writes, you're the boss, he did it, you know, and so on and so forth, and I gave it to Wells, and Wells went, he didn't spell this right. He went back and forth, but it was so funny that he didn't know what a perfect game was and so on, but working with him, with De Niro, in the way that we worked together, playing his shrink, and the way how fast he works and how he repeats lines until he gets it perfect for him, was like sports. Bow, 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 bow. And it was thrilling and exhausting at the same time. And to this day, he's one of my closest friends, and he's one of the dearest people you could ever imagine. He's a truly great actor, but he's an even better friend.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah. Lucky guy.
Now, you mentioned your work with Comic Relief, which has raised so much money. What other charities are important to you right about now?
Well, right now, we just did the concert for Sandy Relief at Madison Square Garden. That was on December 12th. You know, I have to try and help get my hometown back up on its feet. And I have this theater program at the Hebrew University in Jerusalem. And what it is, it's a theater program for Arabs, Palestinians, and Israeli actors, writers, directors to all work together in original theater productions. And we're in our 13th year.
Wow.
And it is phenomenal.
I've read that you're working on your memoir.
Yes.
Which you could pretty much take the transcript from the show.
Yeah, but a lot of the things. I will turn, no, this guy will go again. I will turn 65 in March. Mm-hmm. And. Wow. And I decided to, I thought I'd go out on the road and do stand-up about that. And as I started writing these pieces, they felt like essays. You know, they felt really like New Yorker pieces. So I've put them all together, and I'm still finishing up. It'll come out October 1st. I don't have a title yet, which is turning out to be the hardest thing. But it's all funny recollections of where I'm at now and where I've been. So I'm very excited about that. Holt Press is publishing it, and that's the next big thing.
Good luck with that. The movie is Parental Guidance. It's going to be a huge hit, obviously.
I hope so.
And we thank you so much for coming.
Michael, it was a pleasure.
Thank you so much. That's Billy Crystal. I'm Michael Kay, and this is Center Stage. So long, everybody.
Nobody that I've worked with since, except Robert De Niro, understands the movie Camera the way that Jack Palance did. He had this huge head, a really big head, which movie stars have. The real movie stars all have big heads.
So I got a chance.
You got a big chance. No, but think about it. Nicholson, big head. Meryl Streep, all head. Cagney head. Bogart, big head. It commands the frame.
Right.
And Spencer Tracy, enormous. Clark Gable, gigantic head. Like a diving helmet with a mustache. Huge, huge head.